So let's begin, and with a warm welcome, Komal Shah, over to you.
Thanks. I just want to make sure if you can see me clearly or can get the blinds down from the back. Is everything visible? Actually, you don't need to
Yeah,
see
it's
me because
fine.
there are going
It's
to be
fine.
slides anyway. I just realized
It's
there'll be
fine. It's
slides.
fine. Yeah.
Anyway, so hi everybody. Thank you for having me here. JJC, really happy to be here. I will talk more about the resumes and cover letters today because that's what we were going to focus on. In the end, I'll leave some time for answers, question and answers on any topic related to career development. Then I'll give you a little brief overview of what I do and what my business is. It's very, very new, so just wanted to throw it out there. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen very quickly. There we are. Okay, just let me know if everything is, okay, this is working. Okay, so today it's Career Runway who is going to be talking to you about piloting your career with resumes and cover letters. Little about me, I'm Komal Shah. I go with she, her, hers. Is she, her, hers with a master's in I'm sorry, I think someone needs to mute their mic, but we'll come back to that. Master of Education in Counseling. I am currently a career counselor at Boston University, founder of Career Runway, and I am actually from Pune in India, and I used to be a school psychologist and a psychologist in Mumbai as well. So I have years of counseling, psychology, all of that in my bucket, and wanted to make sure that I know all of you must have gone through a stressful, frustrating time right now, especially with the administration, with different laws and rules coming out every day. What I try to do is navigate through it. I make sure that I have all the information, the accurate information that the USCIS releases for students, and make sure that students understand that clearly, because I don't want any student to be jeopardized to be here in the US. So the agenda for today, what we're going to be talking about resumes and cover letter. Why is it important? The formatting of resumes and cover letters. What should you add in these documents? The ATS, very scary word that's thrown out a lot out there, and then cover letter. So why is it important? So essentially, a resume is a document that the HR will read to make sure to see if you are the right candidate for the job, right? So you want to make sure that your resume showcases all your related experience. Experience could be through your classwork, like your academic projects. It could be through past experiences, if you've had internships or if you've had jobs. It could be in the US or abroad as well. So if you've worked somewhere in India in a related field or industry, you could put that in your resume as well. And you should also, it's also a good document to market your skills. A resume and a cover letter is a good place to market your skills. What do you mean by marketing your skills, you may ask? And that's basically telling the HR or telling the company that if you are looking for someone with these skills, I have them. That's a very simple answer, but putting that on a paper, it's very difficult. So let's go a little ahead to try and understand what these skills might be. So NACE is the National Association of Colleges and Employers. Now they have, collectively with all the colleges and all the employers, not all, but many who participate in NACE, bring up all of these top skills that they're looking at. Of course, technical skills are required or needed in technical positions, but Along with that, they're looking for critical thinking and problem solving skills, which was number one. Then comes teamwork and collaboration. Then professionalism, work ethic, communication, technology, as I mentioned earlier, leadership skills, career management, and then global and multicultural fluency. I'm sure all of you have this already. The only thing we need to do is identify how to put that on the resume. So usually what we want to do is make sure that you have, if you have one example of, if you're working on like a job and you have done a project where you have a problem solving, where you've solved a problem, you want to make sure that you've mentioned those clearly, with what you did, how you did it, what tools did you use to do it, and then what was the result. Let's go to formatting and then come back to how to write the bullet points. So a lot of times, so the reverse chronological format, which is the where you write the most recent experiences following with the ones that you did before that, is the most common format. A functional resume is usually a resume for people who have like more than 10 years of experience looking to switch their careers or have a gap in their career. Like they took a break, they did something else, and now they're back, or took a break if they're looking to take care of their family and then coming back. So they would probably benefit more with a functional resume. A combination is both with a reverse chronological and functional resume, where you highlight your skills more than your your list of experiences. All right, so what not to add to the resume? I know a lot of people know this already, but I do want to specify this again. Don't add your photo, because that's something I know that in HR in India look for a photo and date of birth and height, weight, and all the other, bio data sort of thing, but you don't need to add that in the US. That does, if you do add it, you might be prone to getting discriminated. So make sure you don't add that on your resume. Also, it's discouraged to add personal pronouns like I, me, them, they, their, but add your preferred pronouns next to your name when you have your resume. So there might be people who might not know what pronoun you go by. It could be she, her, hers, he, him, his, and they, them, theirs. So whatever you prefer, you can put that in there. I know a few people add white text to the resume in the blank spaces to pick up keywords. I would encourage you not to do that, because it seems as if that's cheating. If HR find out that you've done something like that, they might imply that you're being dishonest, or you're trying to get your way around something, which is kind of not appreciated in companies. So try not to do that. Next thing, do not add images, charts, and other graphics. I know there are these fancy graphic resumes that are out there, with a lot of different colors and charts, and you can kind of show how well you do in a specific area. This is not an art contest or something where you have to show how well your resume is. You definitely want to keep it plain, standard, to the point, because if your resume goes through an ATS, the applicant tracking system, it will not be able to read the images, charts, and other graphics, and your resume might not get picked up. So keep it simple, unless you're in the arts field. Like if you're a graphic designer or a web developer, then make sure that then you can have like a graphical resume. So Best practices for the format, keep it to 1 or 2 pages. Don't keep it more than, because employers usually look at resumes for 10 to 20 seconds. They look at it very quickly. They just pick up the keywords and move on to the next, especially if it's a big company and there are like thousands of applicants. So you want to make sure it's short, to the point, well laid out. Um, Avoid using stock templates, Word and Google Docs, and there are other places that have stock templates for resumes. Don't use those because it doesn't allow you to play with the margins, which is what you want to fit the most information that you can on like that 1 or 2 pages of your resume. Um, Use section headings, space out, don't clump all your words. All your information should be easy to read. So if you're right aligning your dates, it's easy to see the chronological order. If you're changing the formatting, like black or like bolding or italicizing your fonts for like the company name and the title name, try to do that so it's easy for the HR to read through it when they're looking at your resume. Use standard fonts like Calibri, Arial, Times New Roman, and then recommended font size is 10 to 12. Make sure it's consistent throughout the resume. Here is a small sample of what a resume could look like in the format that is encouraged by most HR. So clear sections, make sure it's, there's good space between each experience. Here I've made sure that like you could call it a relevant experience or a professional experience or a work experience. Okay, so you can play around with a few words, but don't add any like unique words in front of the experience, because that again might be if it's going through an ETS, it might not get recognized properly, and then it might, you might just lose that chance. So make sure that you're just mentioning one of these, or work experience is another one that you can add. As you can see here, dates are right aligned, month year to month year format is encouraged. You could have a month to month year if the year is the same. Try not to put summer, fall, and spring, because HR do not understand that language. It's academic language, so you don't want to use that. Use standard bullet points. Don't use fancy arrows or squares or anything like that, again, only because of the ATS. Unfortunately, a lot of the big companies, we don't know if the ATS is being used or not. So just to play it safe, use all the standard styles that are available. Easy to read font, as I mentioned, and make sure it's consistent throughout. So a few points on like the headings. So if you're just graduating or have recently graduated and you are still looking for a job, then make sure your education is first. Then you mention your experience, projects, skills, anything following your education. If you have 2 or more years of experience, then highlight your experiences and skills first. Then like your education can be last, because you already have so much experience, so you don't need to highlight your education. However, the education still should be on your resume, because the HR would like to know your qualifications. What should you add? So this is the heavy hitter, right? There's so much that you can add to your resume. All the information that you add to your resume should be relevant to the job that you're applying for. If it's not relevant, take it off immediately. You could put, if you have experience, if you were in India, if you had any volunteering experience or anything like that, that you're really proud of doing it, but there's no place on your resume, put it on your LinkedIn profile. you have another place to put that information. If you have a portfolio or a website of your own, put it on that. Just because the resume is a limited, like a 1 or 2 page document, only relevant information is encouraged. So when you look at the bullet points for your internships or jobs that you've done, when you put it on your resume, you start with skills, and these should be verbs. Verbs like collected, developed, collaborated, achieved, increased, improved, those kind of words to show that you have these skills to do something. Then you talk about the task or responsibility that you had to do in that, using that skill. And finally, this is the third thing, is something that employers look for a lot, and that is your value. What did you bring to the table? How did you create an impact? How did it help the company? How did it help your client? So they want to see what will you bring to the company that you're applying to, right? They want to see what value, why should they hire you, and what value would you bring if they do hire you. So you want to and make sure that you add your value in your bullet points as well. Now, while you are developing your bullet points, you want to make sure that keywords, industry language, you mention skills, you mention your value, can you do the job, if you've had an impact, if you've taken an initiative, and then quantifying, because quantifying is again a very nice way to strengthen your resume, to say that this is the amount, especially now in the US, everything is so data driven, that showing these numbers will increase your chances of getting an interview. And numbers, what I mean by that, now that could be with the number of like members in your team. It could be an age group. It could be a percentage of if you increase sales or decrease sales, something like that. If you achieved efficiency in a certain programming or a coding, something in the technical field. So that's like the percentage you want to add. If there are a number of downloads with an app you created, you want to mention the number of downloads or the number of people who are using that app. So make sure you're using numbers. Here are a few heavy hitting verbs that you can use. They're really, like, I like to follow these and then some with the resumes when I create them. I make sure I use not the very common like assisted and helped and learned again is not even a skill, but yeah, I try to use as many, like something leadership, so spearheaded or oversaw, so something like that. I like to show that this person has leadership qualities. So make sure when you develop your resume, make sure you have such verbs. I will be sharing my slides with you, so you should have these already when I do share it. Now, this is a big one, right? We think it's a very simple thing, but a lot of people don't do this. Name your resume file correctly. It should be an easy to find file name. Use your first name, your last name, and it could be a PDF or a Word document. Now, make sure you see what format does the job posting want it in. If you go into the application portal and they tell you that we want a PDF, and then you upload a Word document, that's not going to work for them. If they mention that they want a Word document and you do a PDF, again, that's not going to work. So make sure you name it right. This again is a quote that I found on LinkedIn, who was this lady. She was an HR person. Just naming the resume right reduced her time, and she took more time to review the well-named resume. So as I said, HR take around 10 to 20 seconds. If you even get 5 to 6 seconds more from the HR, That's good. That's good enough for you to make your case. So this big scary word, applicant tracking system. Now, how do we beat the ATS, right? Make sure you match keywords, you match the language that the job description is using, and then formatting your resume that we talked about earlier. Here, so I know, and I can share with you this, what's happening? Okay, this one resource, jobscan.co. It's an ATS scanner. It gives you, I think, 1 or 2 sample scanners. So what you would need to do is just copy paste the job description in the job description section, and then copy paste your resume in the resume section, and then it analyzes how well it matches up with the job description, which is good because then it gives you insight as to if you need to change anything, if you need to add more keywords along those lines. If there are any unique words that they've used and you haven't used, you might want to do that. Now, if again, you don't want to keep changing your resume for every job, so take 5 different job descriptions. Make sure you put it all in like one document, and then copy paste that in your sample on the job scan page, and see how many words pop up. Unfortunately, I think JobScan only gives a limited amount of sample resume scans. I think it gives around 3 or 4 scans. So if you are using it, make sure you're using it wisely. Now, you could do the, keyword matching or keyword identification without the job scan. If you run out of sample job scanning, or like the sample, like the free trial, if you're out of the, if you've reached your limit, you can also do it like on your own. So we will be doing a quick activity. It will take 5 minutes. So when we do use the ATS, when we want to beat the ATS, we recommend assuming any application you submit will be fed to the ATS. So make sure it's standard. Look at the link in your browser. A lot of times when you look at the application portal, they will have a different sort of a link in the application portal, and that shows the ATS that's going to be looking at your resume. Now, this is Goldman Sachs, who has this ICIMS.com, and that is a ATS system that's going to be reviewing your resume. There are other companies out there, so it's difficult to understand. For there's another Smart Search is another one, and there are a couple of more ATS systems that you can find on the link. So make sure that if it is an ATS, make sure you are ready to beat it. So our quick activity. So I'm going to have all of you read through this job description. It's a data analytics position, and try and find a few keywords that you think would be required. Put it in the chat box. Let's see if you can identify a few of these. Yes. Perform complex data, SQL, data visualization, cross-functional teamwork. Very good. Design, build, SQL, Tableau, BI, dashboards, data quality measures. Yes, all of these are great. Python and R is beneficial. Yes, Google Analytics. Great. Okay, so quite a few bullet points. Now let's see. Oh, sorry, not quite a few keywords, not bullet points. Quite a few keywords. Now let's see if we have matched it. So a few that we did miss out, right? Did we see analytics code, maintenance of, I don't think we saw that. So we missed that. Raw data, I think someone mentioned, so we have that. Stakeholders is a good keyword to put in, which we missed out. Data analysis, SQL, data visualization, yes, all of that we used. What I think everybody, I know someone used raw data. Okay, reporting, dashboards. I think someone needs to mute their mic.
Guys, please go on mute. Please. Sankalp.
Okay,
You can mute her.
I can mute. Yeah. Oh, what did I do? Okay, I think I did it. All right. So, all right, that's fine. Okay, so we have another, quite a few, so this one. This was very interesting. Experience in startup data environment. Maybe that's something that these guys are a startup, right? Are they looking for someone with startup experience? If you have one, that's a keyword that you could use on your resume as well. So most of you could find a few keywords, which is great. Look for the soft skills as well, right? The ones that don't really stand out, but are pretty essential to get hired as well. So look at those things: empowering stakeholders, driving businesses. Like those kind of words are also strong words that you can use in your resume to get it picked up. Good job, everyone. I'm really happy that you all could identify a few keywords. So moving on to the cover letter. Is it necessary? No, it's not. But should we write it? Yes, we should. We should write every cover letter. It should be a different cover letter for specific to the job that you're applying for. It is not a determining factor. That's not going to make you get the job, but you can express interest. You can quantify and show that you have the specific skills necessary for the job and specific skills that you could explain further in detail. You can add additional information and you can make your case as to why they should hire you. Okay, I think there are some chats. Okay, questions. Yeah, I will answer that at the end. Okay, so the cover letter information. What should you add? Your name, your contact details, just like the resume. The address of the company you are writing to, and the date. It's very important to write the name of the person. If you know it, it will be always a better thing, because then it shows that you have good research skills to find out the name of the person who would be reading your resume. If you really can't find, if it's a really big company and you can't find the name of the person, then just write to your hiring manager or recruitment officer along those lines. So where can you find these names, like the names of the HR people? You can find it on the company website or LinkedIn. If it's a smaller company, you can definitely find it on the company website or a LinkedIn. Now, bigger companies like Google, Microsoft, Facebook, you could find it on LinkedIn, but just because there are so many, you might need to do a little more digging to understand which department do those HR managers hire for, right? So that little information would be important for you to find out if you want to write that name. If you really don't have any information about their name, then just put a hiring manager. So again, in the cover letter as well, make sure you put the keywords, the soft skills, your technical skills, any software that you know, educational qualifications, and your certifications if you have any. Now, in your cover letter, what should you add, right? Introduce yourself. Why are you interested to apply to that position? Also mention how those skills, the skills that you have, will make you a great candidate for that position. Always try to make your case. So why should the employer hire you? Answer these questions, like with your past experiences that you have that are similar to the job that you're applying to, the skills that you used to accomplish something, to solve a problem. When you're talking about the things that you were doing in the past job, mention the software you used, or if you worked with a team, quantify or mention any achievements. If you got a result for some of the issues you solved, mention those as well. And then the third paragraph, so the second paragraph, a lot of times, I know this is a common question that's asked, can we have more than 3 paragraphs? Yes, you can. The second paragraph, if you don't want to clump it in like too many words, just break it down into like second and third paragraph. So it could be like the second paragraph could be about one experience, and then the third paragraph could be about another experience, and then the fourth paragraph can be a thank you, and then just restate 2 important skills that are relevant to the position. And I always like to put, I look forward to hearing from you. It's more of a passive way of saying call me back. There are others, I've looked at other cover letters where people, I expect to hear from you within 2 weeks, and that's really pushy and that's asking for too much. So I would say don't say something like that. Just keep a little hopeful message at the end saying that I look forward to hearing from you. So I think we're at the end. There we are. I will take questions, and I have just one last thing I will say. So Career Runway, we are focusing on international students and immigrants as well. So if you are looking at switching a job, even if you're not a current student, I'm happy to help. The website is not officially launched yet. We have done a soft launch. So we have our Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn is all live. Emails are live. The website will be live within the next 2 weeks. So I just wanted to throw that out there to make sure if you have any questions, reach out. I'm happy to take questions, and I have a quick form for you to fill. So I'm going to stop sharing and let me do this very, very, very quickly, and then I'll take questions. Okay, so if you want, promotions or anything for like sessions with me, I am happy to do that. Just fill in this form with your name and email, and you'll get informed about any new promotions that we have, or any workshops I might be hosting, anything like that, and you will get to know about it first. All right, I'll take questions now.
So guys, I would just like to say that first, just take 2 minutes to fill out the form, because I know, before she leaves, I would really like everybody to fill out the form. So within next 2 minutes, please fill out the forms, and please use the raise hand option so that she can go one by one rather than missing the question in the chat box. So, and she will answer all your questions. So just use the raise hand option, and
I think the form is not open to everyone.
Really?
No, it's
you
not
need to give
open.
access.
Okay.
Yes, we need permission for that thing.
That is so weird. Okay. How do I do that? Try to figure it out.
So if you open the form,
Yeah.
if you have created the form, you will get an option to keep it open or just something like that. Have you created the form?
Yes. Yes.
Is it open in front of you?
Yes.
Can you share your screen?
Okay, I'll do that. Hold on. Nope, this one. Okay. Here we are. Did I share that? Yes.
So you can go in settings and open it for everyone.
Yes.
This one?
You see restrict. Yeah.
Restrict, yes, that's, yeah.
Okay, I don't need this. Okay. All right. Okay, now try it out and let me know.
Great. Everybody, please. I would really like all 18 of us, since 19, she's one. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, you can ask questions by the time you fill in. It's just 2 questions. It's your email and your name.
Nice to see Hemal bhai attending the event while driving.
It's as usual, Manan.
I would really like if everybody wants to switch on their videos, and if everybody is comfortable, there is no compulsion, just making it more interactive or more personalized in this virtual event.
Honestly, this is so common for me because I do workshops like every day, right? I mean, or every week, right? So most of my students choose to keep just a blank, just a name or like a picture.
Oh no, this is like a little bit, we are a little bit not that formal, so that we can connect well.
Yeah.
We feel that there's somebody who's sitting right next to us rather than just saying their names. Yeah.
I would like to go ahead and ask questions.
Yes.
Just a
Go
second.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I have a couple of questions. First one is that if I'm working for my mentor or I'm doing research for him or if I'm doing my master's thesis, does that count as work experience or is it comes in a different section?
Yes, that so it comes in under research experience.
Okay, so that if I'm contributing to his work, even that wouldn't count as work experience, right?
So it depends on 2 things. If you are thinking about if you have specific work experiences apart from your research,
Okay.
then you want to segregate that and categorize it as like a work experience and then something as a research experience that's separate. But if you feel like, no, it's just part of, like a project or something, you can definitely add that as work experience as well. So you need to decide if it's like, depending on the job that you're applying for, if your job is research focused, then that would come under work experience. If it's not really research focused and it's very like just a job that's where you have to do programming or something like that, then definitely just keep it under work experience.
Awesome, thank you. And last question from me. Uh, you mentioned that it is very important to have those verbs like not verbs but the words like cross-functional team, gathering, supporting.
Yes.
So how important is it to see for job descriptions and change accordingly in my projects or in my work experience? So like when I see a job description and I find a few verbs, do I go ahead and change my every project and or how does that go?
Yeah, that's a good question, because you don't want to change every time. You don't want to change your resume, right? Because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So you probably want to take 5 different job descriptions that are very relevant to the job that you are applying for.
Okay.
And then pick like words from there and use those words to like sprinkle those around on your resume. Make sure it's like highlighted in some of the bullet points, And then if there are, I would say, I think it should be good, but if you read the job that you're applying for and it really specifies this one skill that is very essential, then I would expect you to change it, just because it might not get picked up if you don't mention it anywhere on your resume. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Awesome.
Yeah, because most of the time, they like, some words are very common, analytics or data and, report, like these are very, very common words. So you can definitely put those in.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Somebody had a question on ATS. Can go ahead with that first. Somebody asked about ATS.
I think that person's not
Chat
there.
box.
Yeah,
I
it
could-
seems like
Yeah.
he lost his internet connection. He just messaged. So
Okay.
Okay. If you can ask that person to text you the question, you can go ahead with that.
I think there's one in the chat box as well. Is that the same person?
Yeah, he was the same person. I was talking about that person itself.
Okay. So one project or hands-on experience on Google Analytics. I have a question for ATS. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anybody else can go ahead.
I had a question.
Yeah.
So I am actually in the transition between. So I just graduated last December.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like negligible work experience, like almost. And I started my job like 3-4 months back. So how do I keep in between that phase where you are not even a student, but not even a professional right now, So volunteering work and all those things, but not so much as well. Like, where do I balance it out?
So you're talking related to your resume, how to add experience on your resume, right? If there's negligible, I think you're muted.
Yes.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, I would say you can add academic projects. So if you were, if when you were in graduate school, you must have done some project, right? So add those. When you do add those, use the keywords again, as I would, say. If you have volunteering experiences, add those. If you have any experiences in India, if you came from India, if you had any work experiences there, you can add those as well. Are you working right now? So
Yes.
you can still add that, like whatever you've done so far, in even if the 4 months of work that you've done, you can still add that experience in your resume.
Komal, I had 2 questions. First is it compulsory that if you don't have experience, or if you have something from India, that the resume should fit in 1 page, or after how much period of time I can go over 1 page?
So I'm guessing most of you are at graduate school, right? Or
Yes.
undergraduate.
Yes. No,
Yeah,
all of them are graduate.
Graduate. So yes, so you can have 2 pages. You can have 2 pages worth of a resume. So
okay.
Hold on. Yeah, so you can have 2 pages of a resume, because you would be expected to, like if you got into a US university, you did have to put in your resume, right? So
Yep.
you would be expected to have some sort of experience, like volunteering experiences, or anything that you did in your undergrad when you were in India. You can add those things in your resume as well. The only thing I would mention is think about how easy you want to make it for the HR. Okay, so if you are applying for a specific job, it's a highly competitive position, you make sure it's like limited. So I would encourage you to keep it to a page, but with all the relevant information. If your relevant information goes over a page, then make it to 2 pages.
Okay.
Okay.
And the second question I had was, if I'm like my ongoing job, if I have an ongoing job, and as you said to Manan, that you mentioned what you're doing there. So whether it should be in the past tense or it should be in the present tense.
Good question. It should be
Thank
present tense.
Yeah, that's what.
So if you're working there right now, it should be
Mhm.
present tense. If you worked there before, it should be past tense. And that's something HR do take a look at. HR, I mean, this is what I've heard from, because like we communicate with employers very regularly, especially now because of the pandemic. They are looking for any reason, any and all reasons to
Reject you.
reject you. A smallest, like if you forgot to put a full stop at the end of a sentence and the rest of your sentences had a full stop, they're going to reject you. If you miss, like if there's a spelling mistake, they're going to reject it. If you're not aligned with your dates and you're not consistent, they're going to reject you. So they are going to look at how perfect or how much you pay attention to detail, because that's another skill that most employers are looking at, right? So make sure it's perfect.
Okay. Next, I think so. Vikas would like to go. Vikas. Because as there's some technical issue, you can just type your question. That's fine.
I can till then make you the host, because I
Sure.
forgot to do that.
Hey, Hinal, until then, I got the question from Rushang on ATS. So should I go
Okay.
ahead?
Yes, Bhavin bhai, you can go ahead. Till
Yeah.
then, Vikas will type his question.
So his question to Komal, as you mentioned about key and soft skill keywords, right? So how often a person should use those keywords in the resume to go through the ATS system? That's question number one. And he's giving an example, like he's trying to apply for a software developer position, and there is one required skill that's about AngularJS. So how often should he use this word to go through the ATS?
I think once or twice should be good enough. If he uses so the problem with ATS is it depends on the software. So there are so many ATS software that any answer I give is not going to be the right answer. But as long as you have mentioned it once or twice on your resume, it will get picked up by the ATS. So there are some resumes who want to see more frequency of that question or of that word, and then some resumes, just if one unique word is there, then it would be enough for the ATS. So I would say once, twice, maybe if you want to push it 3 times, that should be good enough. But I would like to have as many unique words on the resume, so that as unique as it gets, at least one, if that one word gets picked up, it comes into you can get forwarded to the HR.
Okay, just relating to it, so he's asking, right, should he mention that as a skill, or should he display as some project or some experience related to the same skill?
Yeah, so that's actually a very good question, because I was reading this article and it said that now if you mention it in your job, in your work experience as part of a bullet point, then it would read it as like for example, you were working in that position for like 2 or 3 years. So then it will count it as you having experience in that software or whatever technical thing for 2 or 3 years. If you put it in your skill section, just your skills and competencies, just like mentioning it, it would count it as 6 months. So that again might be, maybe that that job needs you to have like 2 years of experience using that software. And if you mentioned it just in your skills, then it's it's assuming that you just used it for 6 months. So you probably want to, when you're writing a bullet point, you say, utilized or changed so and so using this software to be able to affect some of the programming or something like that. So make sure you're using it in your bullet points if it is a required skill in that job description.
Oh, okay. Thanks for answering that, Komal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Komal, we have the questions from Vikas. The first one is that he is working for a consultant Accenture. Should he or should he not put the client company's name on his resume? And the second is he has 10 plus years of experience. So fitting all that in 2 pages is very tough. So does that 2 page rule apply to him, or he can go over 2 pages?
Don't go over 2 pages. Anything beyond 7 years is outdated. So you probably want to put that in your LinkedIn profile. If you feel like that the experience you had before 10 years, like if it was like a job that you did for 1 year, which was um, very relevant, then you can definitely put it. And if you are someone who wants to keep all of your experiences on the resume, you could even think about using the functional resume format instead of the reverse chronological, because that format is a little different, where you highlight your skills first and then just list all the jobs that you've had before. So it's a very different format, and I would say if it goes beyond 2 pages, HR will not be able to reach the third page. So you've literally lost all of that information that you wrote on the third page. So keep it to 2 pages. Just if it's beyond 7 years and it's a relevant experience, then try to see if you can adjust, bullet points in other places. If you've repeated some bullet points for multiple positions, that's just being redundant. So you probably want to remove, if it's the same skill you've used for all the jobs, then just take off those bullet points in some spaces so that you're not using that space for the same information. So yeah, I know that's a tough question, but it's very valid, because you want to be as unique as possible in your resume.
Also, his question was whether, if he's working for a consultant, whether he can put his client company's name on his resume.
Yeah, good question. So yes, you can put your now, two things. Are you allowed to put that client's name? If the consultant allows you to put it, then you can. If you have to sign NDAs, or if it's a confidential project or something, then you cannot put that in there. So make sure that you know the legalities of it as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anybody else who has a question, please go ahead. And I don't want, please don't leave, because we have an announcement too.
Hi
Ronak?
Komal,
Hi.
yes, I had a follow-up question.
Yep.
So when you said that whatever skills are mentioned, you should have it into your job experience. So if I have it, then it's counted as that much months of experience. Otherwise, it's counted as 6 months. So does that also apply if I add it to, let's say, a project? Because that won't have a timeline for that. So, and the problem which I come across is, so let's say I have a lot of projects, and in one page I'm not able to fit all of them. So what I do is I just pick up projects which I feel is more relevant to this, like to the positions which I'm applying. So do you recommend to switch projects based on the skill set which is mentioned for the?
Yes, you should. You probably want to do that, because if you're putting in a project that is not going to affect your candidacy for that position, there's no point putting that, because you're just using space, and space on a resume is very valuable, right? It's like you wish you had more space, but you don't. So make sure you only add um, academic projects that are relevant to the position. Now, to answer your next question is, because the projects don't have a timeline, what to do with the skills? I would say you can still put those in your academic. So if you have it in your projects and also in your skill sets, like when you just name it, that's fine too, because then you're showing that you're repeated this multiple times, and shows that you're more like you're using it in multiple different places. So you can put that in your skills and competencies section and in your academic project section as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hey Komal, I actually had a generic question.
Yep.
So there are times when we come across resumes that have employment gaps because of XYZ reason.
Yep.
So how do you deal with those employment gaps to make sure that your resume is not getting rejected? Like, is there anything specific we should mention so that the recruiters understand why is there an employment gap?
Yeah, you should not mention anything like that on your resume. Like, you don't need to give a reason on your resume if you have an employment gap. If you do have an employment gap, use the functional resume format. That's a different format, and I haven't touched upon it because it's really not a very common theme that happens, but we can talk about it, later if you want to focus on something like that. There is a combined format as well, where, when I mentioned earlier, you have a combined, like you can use a reverse chronological and functional resume format. And that's, again, it's a very different format of a resume, but you focus more on highlighting your skills rather than your timeline. And HR know that people go through life, and, in life, there are so many things that might make you leave a job or whatever. So they understand that there might be a gap, and that's the reason this is the format, and that should not be an issue.
So Komal, Mitisha has a question. She's asking if she has contributed to a project or a research paper unofficially. Should it be on her resume, or like how it should be? Like, it's unofficial, it's not been published, or her name has not come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would not put that on the resume. Now it depends, is this project in India or is it here? That's, again, two different things, because if you did something in India and you think that you've gained experience in that, then sure, then put that in. But I feel like here they can verify they can verify these things, and it's very, I don't know if, because this is a very gray area. I don't want you to lie on your resume, because everything, even your experiences in India, get verified during your background check. So I don't know if I should answer that, because I don't want to say yes, put that, because that's then lying if they can't verify it. For them, it would be lying, even if you've worked on that project. If you have someone who can, speak to your active participation in that project, then sure, then put that on the resume.
Okay, and Sankalp had a question, but I think so your previous answer pretty much has given an idea to Sankalp. Sankalp, since there should be a background check, I don't think so putting a fake experience is a good option. And Khyati has a question. She's asking, in which section can we put university experiential learning project?
You can put that in the project section, I think. Yeah. So actually, you can put it in two places. It could be academic projects, or it can be campus and leadership activity. That's another section, campus and leadership activities. So that's more when you're active in your university groups or clubs and organizations.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I
actually
think
had another question. Sorry, Hinam.
no problem. Go ahead.
Actually, so I have been recommended, and I've heard a lot of people say that you should add your references to your resume. How much would you recommend that?
No, don't do that. Yeah, I would say don't do that, because again, it's the resume has valuable space, right? You don't want to use that for references. A lot of application portals have a separate section where you have to upload a separate document with references. So, and again, I would say references only would be provided I wouldn't even put that in the resume. You know, references will be provided on asking or something like that. That just sounds weird and awkward. Usually HR will ask you for references when they feel like you are a qualified candidate for this job and want to just check if you've done the things that you say you've done. So don't put that on your resume.
So Mitisha has a question. She's saying that how extensive is the background check usually done? Like, do they call our university professors or anybody whom we have referenced? So yeah.
It's pretty extensive. There are quite a few organizations who, like third-party organizations, who do background checks for, as a job. So especially if it's a big company, they do a very intensive so they will first check with USCIS, because USCIS again does their own background check, and if they have allowed you to come into the States, it means that everything has gone well for your background check. So that's one. Second, if you're listing jobs that you've done in India, and you've referenced people who are your managers or supervisors, that should be easy for them to verify. If you've not put any of in, it's difficult, because I actually faced something like that when I got a job. Was the school that I worked in, they, like, because of the time difference, they were unable to take any calls, or I don't even think they responded to any emails. So that was unfortunately an issue. So somehow they asked me to prove that I was employed. So I had to show them my offer letter and my resignation letter. So you have to show proof that you were employed. So yeah, if you can refer to someone, refer them to someone to talk on your behalf, that would be great. If you can't, or if there's an issue like that, then you have to show documentation that you were hired.
Okay. So I think, do we have any more questions? If we do not have any more questions, so Darshita, you can go ahead.
Okay, firstly, we would really love to thank Komal for joining and giving us such an informative session on resumes. I'm 100% sure it's very, very helpful to everyone, including those who might be alumni and are working in the field. So thank you very much for taking the time and joining us. I also wanted to make an announcement to everyone about our upcoming events. It is, since we've already done resume today with the expert, we are now going to go ahead and also have events on how to ace your interviews and building your online LinkedIn presence. So in acing your interviews, we'll be talking a lot about some of the common questions that the recruiters may ask or the hiring manager can ask. What are some of the strategies you can use to actually answer those interview questions? And in the LinkedIn online presence, there will be more about how you can use LinkedIn to optimize your chances of getting a job and why is it important. So these are just few of the topics, but there are going to be a lot more covered within these events. And we are going to actually have 3 weeks of these events. So I think one event will be repeated thrice. So based on your availability and preference, you can RSVP once the information is out. Any questions?
Hey, Komal, I had a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Komal, do you help only from the technical background for resumes, or are you also open to some of related to science fields? Right?
Yeah, I help all backgrounds. My position in Boston University is more in the general area, where I help students in all. So business, technical, so engineering, computer science, data analytics. It could also be medical school, if you're applying to med school, if you're applying for a grad school or PhD program, Also help with CVs because CVs and resumes are different. So also I help with that. I also help in liberal arts and other areas. So it's all the areas I can talk. In the top of my head, I won't be able to list all of them because there are so many. But these are the most common ones, like marketing and all of those. So yeah.
Yeah. So my specific was for one of my friends. She's a physiotherapist.
Yeah.
Building her resume. So she needed some help. So
yes, absolutely. I am happy to help all students. As I said, we are I've done a soft launch of Career Runway. Like we are active on Instagram right now. That's the only thing I'm active on. I know LinkedIn and Facebook pages have been developed, and they are going to grow very slowly because again, it's a soft launch, but by next week, we should have our paperwork ready, and that's when I want to launch the website. So once we start the website, that's when everything will be, easy for students to, if they want to set up an appointment, they can do that. I offer free 15-minute consultations. So that's where I just talk with you and discuss if there are any things that basically try to understand what is it that you need and what service will be the best one for you. Usually I make sure that like if the student is getting is getting stuck in a specific area, I make sure that I focus on that area only. If you want more of a overall like package thing, I have 2 different packages. One is a 5-session package and one is a 3-session package. So it depends on what you're looking at. In 5-session packages, I also do assessments, so like psychological assessments, where we understand your skills and personality and all of that, where I make sure that with that, how can you amplify that in your interview when you're giving an interview, and how to prepare those questions and answers. So a lot of that goes into preparing, and then so in the price that would be included, because assessments I have to buy them. So in the price, it's like the session plus the assessment. So
okay.
Yeah, that's once the website is launched, I will definitely forward it to all of you to take a quick look at it. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. This is my email, and I'll just put it in the chat box. And the email is active, so feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, anything like that. But I was really thank you, and I appreciate you calling me here today and to be able to talk to you about resumes and cover letters. Really glad that I could do this.
Thank you so much, Komal, for your time, and thank you everyone for joining on Saturday, because I agreed things got a little delayed, few minutes, but it was Saturday, so it's considerable. Thank you so much, guys.
Enjoy your weekend, everybody.
Yes, enjoy your weekend, and we look forward for other events, other informative events also, and some fun events also. And I'm probably sure that everyone is going to join tomorrow's game events. I hope to see you all there tomorrow. And thank you. I shall end this meeting. If anybody wants to talk or say anything, feel free.
Can everyone for a minute turn on their videos?
Yeah, so that we can just take a
snip.
Yep. Just a gentle request,
just for
everyone,
like 10
please.
Seconds. Sankalp.
Okay, Nitisha, it's fine if you're at work. Okay.
Awesome. We have
Vikas, bye.
Khyati.
Okay, awesome.
Bhavin. Just for 10 seconds. Bhavin.
Avisha, yeah. Mayank.
I'll make sure I post it on our Instagram and Feel free to follow us as well.
Right? JJC
What?
Yeah.
Ishit
is on there. Bhavin Bhai is there. Ishit is on there. Bhavin Bhai is there.
Okay, I'll just take it.
Yeah. Bhavin Bhai and Vikas Bhai, if you all can just switch it on your videos.
Okay, what I think.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, go. कौन ले चे?
Melidu.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Okay.
Jai Jinendra, everybody.
Thank you, Komal.
Jai Jinendra, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Happy Dasera in advance.
Happy Dashera.
Okay, guys. I'll end the meeting. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.